So I got a question from Aisha Bunny, uh, who asked me to do a video on Mithraism. Now, I will should be currently uploading one where it's just showing you the pictures, right? But I figured I'd do kind of a overview or an explanation, and there will be up. I will put up a proper movie. I mean, instead of just throwing clips of images at you and explaining them, and I have to go in a lot more depth, and I don't want to be kind of rushed with it. So I'll talk about Mithraism in this video, and I'll have the clip video up of all the pictures like I do of all the religion videos. But I'm gonna try to do an even better one with this, like I guess a third video. So Mithra was a divinity or a sub-god, angel, whatever you want to call it, in the realm of, people call it Zoroastrianism. He became sub to Ahura Mazda, and that is Zoroastrianism, but there would be later reforms, which is coming from Mazdaism, and that would affect what we understand as the Avesta would be written after that. But Zoroastrianism is older. And the Romans really got in the first century BC, first century AD, and in the first centuries of the Christian era, the Common Era, the whatever you want to call it, first centuries after Christ, people got the Romans got very interested in Eastern religions. It was the in thing, and Eastern to them was anything east of them because they recognized that as older. There was an association with the Greek gods from almost primordial times. The Mediterranean pretty much had kind of the same gods, similar pantheon. The Romans kind of associated their gods with the gods of Greece, and they took Minerva from the Etruscans, and but they're different. They're much darker than the Greek gods, and there's a lot of differences, but I'm not going to go into that right now. But east for them was Persia, and there's signs that they were interested in Buddhism. In fact, we know there was a lot of Buddhism in ancient Greece and Rome. We found a jade Buddhist statue at Hadrian's Wall, which is pretty. I mean, that got abandoned 1,300 years ago, almost 1,400 years ago. No, God, 1,600. Jeez, sorry, forgive me. And could have been there from the first century. So they were all. That was kind of the in thing, and there were the mystery religions. Roman Mithras, at least the name is kind of bastardized or taken. We don't know that much of anything else has been taken, and there's been a lot of scholars that tried to mesh the two as if they're related when it's probably just the name. Because David Ulansey did a great job in his book, The Mithraic Mysteries. And you'll notice the hat that Mithras is always wearing. Mithras always has this, it's called the Phrygian cap, but it's a symbol of Persia. It's a symbol of Iran, which you will see the Magi in my Magi video on Zoroastrianism. They're wearing that. And the tights, the hose, and the tunic that comes almost just under the waist. It almost looks like the ancient Persians. It almost looks like something that the Europeans would be wearing in like the 12th century. You know, it's weird that you have two similar kind of dress styles on in two different parts of the world that are culturally not connected, and that are at least 1,000 years apart. But anyways, the Mithraisms were caves, or built as caves. They were totally dark, and you would it was only for men, and it was very attractive to men in the army. And they would lay across these, I don't know what to say, bed, or I mean, there would be an area where men lay and eat. And in every Mithraeum, they had a fresco or a statue that was depicting the Trinoctony, which is Mithras slaying a bull. His knee is into the shoulder of the bull. He's slitting its throat. There's a scorpion attacking its testicles, and a dog and a snake moving towards it, moving towards the bull. And often you'll have representations in forms of faces of the sun and the moon, or sometimes only the sun. Mithras was said to be born of a rock. He never died, by the way. He's never to say that have really flesh. But Mithras is actually Perseus. And Perseus, that's how we get the name for Persia. It's funny, people talk about the Persians and the Byzantines. Well, no Byzantine ever called themselves a Byzantine, and the Persians never called themselves Persians. It was Iran-Sha'ir and the Roman Empire. We don't think of it as the Roman Empire, because the Roman Empire we think of as the West, and it fell, and the Byzantines, and they were Christian, and well, some of us do. I still think of it as the Roman Empire, but even in language, it's very distinct. So Perseus, Mithras, whatever. I mean, there's see Thoth with the Hermes Trismegistus. They blend these things. They bring. There's associations, just like when the Greeks started to Hellenize. They said, "Oh, El is Kronos, and we have Kronos, and the Latins in the West, they're Saturn. That's our Kronos." And Zeus, that's their Jupiter is our Zeus. You know, it's kind of everybody. They're trying to force everybody to believe the same thing by trying to be inclusive. And Rome picked up on this, and they just never stopped. But it's hard to know about what the Mithraic mysteries, what were practiced. Then there was a communal meal, and there was David Delancey did a great job reconstructing. Now there will be this image that some current-day Gnostics use as the demiurge, with the lion's head and the snake wrapped around it. And I probably should make a separate video going into those images. But basically, it was the overturning of the constellations. Taurus was going to be overtaken. And you'll see in a lot of the birth images of Mithras, or even in the Trinoctonies, even around the Trinoctonies, there will be a zodiac. And even in the Trinoctony, what's happening? Taurus, the bull. There's a scorpion. There's the dog. There's the serpent. And in a lot of them, in the frescoes, Mithras' cape, when he's slaying the bull, is waving, and this is making this big like canopy, and you could see all the night stars in there. So it was basically that the heralding or the representation of the dawning of a new age, that the heavens were speaking to mankind. This video is running a bit long, but I will make a far better video of this, and with images and everything. And I might make a few videos, just like I did with Zoroastrianism. Alright, take it easy, peace to you. May God save Serbia, Syria, and Ireland. And please pray for the Copts. They're getting slaughtered. Take it easy.